of death education, the process, which is the process of physical death, and also the process of detaching ourselves as a spirit from the body. We're going to talk about that too. And the reality of immortality. When I say, and I said that in the first time, and I'm going to say it again, we are immortal beings. And I tell you that not from what I read or not from what I believe, but from what I know, from the experiences that I have had and I've been having since the year 2000, the so-called out-of-body experiences, where not only sometimes myself only as a spirit, I leave my physical body and I go to the other side of life. Sometimes I go alone in my trajectory from the moment I leave my body. Sometimes there are spirits, my guardians, my mentors, who come to me, come to my room, to my bed, and get me out. And with them, I travel, I go to the other side of life, which is all around us. It's not in another planet or something, though there are also in other planets. And in these experiences of mine, I interact with spirits who recently died, and I help them to recognize that they're no longer in physical life. In these experiences that I have, I am taught things, and I see things, and that is for my growth, and that is for my betterment or my development. So to me, I'm not privileged. I'm gonna tell you about that, but for some reason that has happened to me, and I used to be until the year 2000 a non-believer, skeptic of everything that smacked of paranormal, until I started having those experiences, and then I have them frequently. So to me, I know for a fact from my experience, from what is shown and from what I live being there. I know how it is to as a spirit to be in functioning outside of my physical body, knowing that my physical body is sleeping somewhere and I'm out. Totally myself, completely myself. I know where I live when I'm outside the body. I know the number of my social security, but I do that for a reason, and that is to extend or strengthen my lucidity. I know my address. I know my name and my birth date. I know the name of my daughters, my wife, their birthdays, and all that. So when I'm outside of the physical body, totally me, but that is the me at that moment. The body, I know that I have a body, and this body is connected and it's linked by a silver cord, which is an energy cord or energy filament, or it's an energetic tie that while the physical body is healthy, it is connected to. I know that there is this because I see. I know I have been trained to reach out to my back when I'm outside, when I'm in spirit, in my spirit body, which in spiritism we call very spirit. I reach back, I pull it, and I see it. And it's a filament when we are a distance, large distance away, very thin, just like the web of a spider. In fact, and I say that in the new book that's coming up, My Nights on the Other Side, that we have a nickname when we are in desdobramento, out of body, and our nickname is Spider. He is a spider. These are spiders, so we are spiders. And I was told that. And I thought it was so funny, but it is a spider, because it makes sense. So, the what I tell you about death education and process, and or immortality, I'm telling you what I know, that we are immortal beings, and even those who don't believe that they're immortal or the one to accept, they will find out. They will find out. Sometimes when the moment that they're passing or dying, the physical body is dying, they're making that transition, there are certain phenomena that happen in that period. And we're going to talk about that in the third lecture, third part, which is going to be next Wednesday. So this is my point of view. And this is what I have been believing strongly, or stronger and stronger, that my mission in this life is to come here through lectures and through my books to tell you with certainty that you believe with certainty that you, just as I am, are immortal beings. Just the body dies. We as a spirit, we do not die. We survive physical death. So this is my point of view. This is from what I'm telling you, this certainty, so that you believe what I'm telling you, because my mission is to tell you that you are immortal beings, and with the hope that you believe what I'm saying. So the first part, we went through several things. We spoke about it. This is one of the slides, the PowerPoint. So that education. We said, there are associations, organizations in the United States that are formed, and they work to bring this death education to the public, to people, so that we get more acquainted with this reality of physical death, because this is the only thing that we are not going to escape. You can change girlfriends, you can change wives, or you can get new ones, or you can go back to the other one that you made a mistake by leaving. So all those things are all possibilities. So you might get rich, by not working much. Win the lottery or something. That's a possibility, right? You might travel the world. You might become an influencer, and you might have millions of followers. That's a possibility. So it's all possibilities. Certainty, only one, that the physical body is going to die. That is a reality. And the better we know about this reality, and the better we learn about it, it's better for us when the time comes. Sometimes we know when the time comes. We're going to talk about that too. Sometimes we don't. We have no control of that. It could take many, many years. It might not. So, and mostly, if we don't get ready, or if we don't learn anything, we're caught unprepared. Then we don't know what to do. We're going to die. You're going to die. You're going to pass to the other side. Then you don't know what's going on. You don't know where you are. Then the spirits call us spiders to help you out. And there is a reason for that. And the reason is that the recently deceased, or the spirit that didn't know about the reality of the afterlife, didn't believe, and everybody's going to be helped. There's help on the other side. From the time that you step out of your physical body into this non-physical dimension, you are helped, or you are watched. There are spirits around you, your guardians even. But since they're being dead for a long time, their spirit body is subtle. You can't notice. First, because I'm talking about those recently deceased who don't understand what's going on. So they can't notice because they're too subtle. So, and us, as they tell us, spiders, that we are out of our body, we are a little more, we have our spirit body is a little denser, just like the body of a recently deceased. So he or she is able to notice us better then a spirit, and then I do this first approach. First, I don't tell them right up front, but I kind of tell them that you're not in Kansas anymore, like Dorothy told Toto when they're flying over us. We're not in Kansas anymore, Toto. So that's what I tell them. You're not there. You're not in Deerfield anymore, or Salvador, where you are. You might be up front. In fact, in one of the experiences, I visited a colony or so where my mom was, my mother was, and I saw her. I was there. And I asked them, where is this place? It's a colony, so there are houses, there are things like that. It's not much different than here. Then I asked them, where is this place located? I ask that. Some know, some people or some of their spirits that are living there. Some know, some don't, have no clue. In this case of my mom, they told me that it's in between Salvador and Rio de Janeiro. Can you imagine that? They're probably reincarnated. Where do you want to reincarnate? Right there, there. They're on the border, so that I go to Rio and I go to Bahia. So that's call it paradise, right? Yeah, that's what you're going to experience. We talked also about what's thanatology, the study of death and dying, importance of death education, and um, all that. So this is it's in a website, right? In KSSF website, the first one. And I also have the three. This is in English. The original ones were in Portuguese, and they're there. And if you put on Google, on YouTube, it's there. And it's also on my website, admirserrano.com. A little commercial here. So there are my books and some of the talks, both in English and Portuguese. So we spoke about thanatology, and we kept going. The importance of that education, it's all there. And then what death is, what's the process of physical death. Spiritually, we die. The physical process, the body dies. So that's one process. Everything, all the organs stop working, and the body stops functioning. And that is the physical process. And the spiritual process is the liberation, the freeing of us as a spirit from the physical body. So the body dies, we're free. The cord, or this energy cord that was connected, because right now we are there. So as a spirit, so we are anybody use computer, right? Everybody uses computer, right? So computer is composed of the hardware, right? The hardware is the monitor, it's the keyboard, the mouse, things like that. But if you don't put an operational system that makes that computer work, that light up, or if you don't put a soul in that computer, it's going to be just that, a useless apparatus. So to make it live, someone created a non-physical thing called operational system. Can you see it? What an operation? Can you see it? Can you visualize it? You can't, because it's all digital. It's all zeros and ones that some of these genius that are coming here created. So then what makes the computer work? The operational system. You can break the computer, the operational system is going to, you can use it for another one. You buy a new hardware. It's a good analogy, isn't it? So we as a spirit, we are the operational system of the body. First, as a spirit, we created the physical body at birth. So we were there creating it. And then we kind of not so much connected as get inside of that body. But we are the operational system that makes even atoms, and that helps organize the molecules and the cells and the organs and everything. So as a spirit, we are like the architect. We are the blueprint of the physical body. And we are connected, like energetically. So the ties, the connection of us as a spirit, since we are energy, every atom that makes our body, every atom that makes this, everything is in the universe is made of this little tiny particle that called an atom. Atom is composed by subparticles, which is energy, pure energy. But the atom is like the smallest organized material element that is known so far. Then you can break the atom, like scientists, physicists do, into a smaller particle. But the atom has at least one proton in the center, in the nucleus, one neutron, and one electron going around it. So that is the smallest. And everything else, we are all made of our physical body, and everything that is material made by this little tiny thing that is called atom, which has at least one neutron, one proton, and one um, electron going around it. And helium is the smallest that has just one of these molecule. So we are energy, pure energy. So the body, when the body dies, we as a spirit, as the operational system that created it, we take our leave. We go out intact with all the knowledge that we acquired, or all the knowledge that we have been acquiring since time immemorial, that we cannot imagine, because we are very old dudes, I'll tell you. We're not, just 50 or 60 years old or 20. We're millions. I mean, we don't know. And time has no meaning anyways. So death is the rebirth of the spirit. So that's one of the things that we talked about. Also, we saw a little thing on the internet, the 20 death causes of death. There are mainly 20 ways that the body dies, or reasons. And we saw that too. Heart problems is number one. There's some other one. Then we saw the age group that people who, or the age group that are lined up to cross over. I think the pointer is in my head. That's all right. I was going to tell you. So those death, it's 160,000, at least average of 160,000 deaths per day in the world, and there are different age groups. This is a graph that goes to 2017. There's I couldn't find one that is more updated earlier. But this gives a good idea. So this is about how many dies a year. I mean, 50 million, and these are the age group. And the largest portion is the age bracket there. So I mentioned that in accounting, cost accounting, there's this thing called FIFO, when for inventory system, the first product that comes in is the first one that's going to get out. So here it's something like that too. We old dudes here, we are the first one who came in, so we are the first lined up. It's a big chunk, the blue chunk. So we are here from here to paradise, if we're lucky, if we work it. So that's it. We're 50 million, 50 million or this. So we are lined up. But there's no age thing. There's no choice. It depends on the mission that we are here for, why we are here for, and things like that. And it's all ages, because there's one journey. The first thing, the thing that we need to keep in mind is that we do not die. We are not gonna become immortal after the body dies, when we die. No, we are immortal now. We are just living. We're experiencing the physical life now, mainly because we also experience the non-physical life. I was going to mention that when I was telling you about my experiences on the other side, out of the body. My experiences, many of them, they are lucid experiences. When I'm entirely lucid, I know what's going on. Sometimes, and mostly, I'm not lucid, but I know that I'm working. I know that I'm there because I know things that I do. I remember that, even though my lucidity is not as sharp. And that if more normally that happens to you too. How many of you remember your dreams? You don't remember dreams? None? No? Nobody? Oh, you gotta. There's a little yellow. There's a little yellow book that. There's a little yellow book there on that table that's called Out and About: How to Have Conscious Out of Body Experience. So there, you're gonna have some exercises that I give for you to enhance your dream recall, because we all dream. Everybody dreams. Every warm-blooded animal dreams. Your cats, your pets, and you can tell if you have children or when you had babies, you're raising your baby. You saw your babies sleeping. You could see their eyes moving. The eyes were closed, and there's movement behind the closed eyes. And cats have that too. Dogs are when they're sleeping, and that means that they are in a stage of sleep, that they're dreaming. So they're having this connection. So we all do that, but not all. We all leave our body at night, but not all of us remember. And I have a case in that book, that yellow book there, that you should buy. Yeah, I I I I give one of the greatest experience that I have, lucid, that I induced an out of body experience. I worked on it. It was not spontaneous. I induced it. I created it because there's a procedure. So I describe the procedure. And I went to my sister's house, and it was about two in the morning because I was in Miami, 11 at night, and she was in Sao Paulo. It was the 3 hour difference, so it was about 2 a.m. there, and I was completely lucid. And I was telling her, so I got to her room, and I saw her floating above the physical body. I saw her physical body in bed, and I saw her other body, non-physical body, floating on top. And then I was out of my body, so I kind of jumped, and I hugged her, and I started talking to her in spirit. And we were communicating, and she was there. She hugged me, I hugged her, but while the physical body slept. So it was a non-physical interaction that we had. But I was lucid, and I was 4,000 miles away from where my body was sleeping, and she was 1 foot away from her body. So I had traveled to another continent lucid while she was there non lucid. She was just there, but she was out of her body without knowing. So we talked, and I told her several times, "You are not dreaming. You are not dreaming. I am here. I am visiting you." And I told her in the morning, it was a Saturday. There was Saturday or Saturday already. So in a sense, I traveled to the future. That was future travel, right? Yeah, it was 3 hours into the future, at least there. And I told her, and I'm gonna call you in the morning, and I'm gonna ask if you remember that I was here. Try to remember, because if I kept saying that over and over, then I called in the morning. Guess what? She said, "What? What?" And interesting that I mentioned that already, but why was this important? Including there are researchers in university here that research out of body experiences, and I sent this experience to one of neuroscientists who researched that, and that was the one that I was told by her that has a validity with the possibility of having like objective proof that we do leave our physical body because we are able to verify certain things. So I have verified other experiences that I had, that when I came back to my body, I went to see where I was in that when I was out of the body, and I saw it. It was the place that I was before. So in case of my sister, I had seen that her physical body that was laying on the bed had a white bandage wrapped on her head, and the spirit body, the one that was hanging over it, also had that thing, same thing, wrapped, the white bandage wrapped on her head. So I know when I noticed it, I was talking to her, and that drew my attention. But I was so focused on telling her that she was not dreaming, I forgot about asking what that was, or saying anything, mentioning anything. Then a couple of years later, I went to Brazil to promote my first book. That was 2008. My first book, Morrer Não É o Fim. Dying isn't the end. And I stayed in her house. And then every morning, she would wake me up with my coffee. So she's a nice sister. Yeah. It, it, yeah, it is. The confusion is because if you pay attention to your dreams, I don't know if that happens, but dreams, they have a story. They tell a story. It has a beginning, it has a middle, it has an end. But we are so active out of our body in other, and there's a dimension to all that we are involved so fast, and there's so many things happening at the same time that we in the processing, because we are processing those images using the brain. So and there's a confusion because of that. It's like everything is connected, but there's a distinction that if we were eventually to, I don't know, sort it out, so then we would see the connection. But otherwise, it's very confusing. But there's some that are very clear. That it's like you're dreaming. Just you're having one dream. Mine are confusing because I dream a lot, and there's a way that you can train. But there are things that it's more like you are participating in some event. You are participating in helping out or something. There's concerts, there's conferences, there's talks, there's the classes, courses. So it's very active. We are smarter when we're sleeping than when we are um, in awake, and we are more active and more productive when we are sleeping than when we are here, because we're doing things even if we don't remember. And there's a reason also, because many of you do not remember your dreams. You're not supposed to remember anyways. It's like a protection, because there are dreams or situations that I was in that was very traumatic if I had remembered it. So I was told that I could not remember. Like one time that I was participating in a rescue with something, there was an earthquake or something. There a lot of people had died, and I wanted to remember because there was the presence of this very being, that one dude that was very high up in the spiritual echelon, that I the feeling that I had, it was so overpowering that immediately I associated with our boss, Jesus. That's what I say when I am in situations that I have, like I have a job on the other side, and one of them is to kind of educate some people, some spirits that are not, they're little. It's like you raising a rebel child. So normally I tell them that I am a worker of Christ, that He is my boss, and that I'm there to do His work, and I'm going to do it. And so that helps out a little. So it's the boss, that Jesus is very respected up there too. So He's everywhere. So I want to remember it, and then the spirit that was guiding this mission, and he said, "Well, you cannot." And that was the last thing that I remember, because when as he said, "You cannot," he passed his hand in front of my face like this. "You cannot." So he blocked everything out except for this little tiny thing that I saw. There was the image of mangled bodies that had been, hit badly in the earthquake, and the feeling of the presence. So those are the two things that I remembered, or was allowed to remember. But back to my sister, then when I went back one morning, she didn't bring coffee to me, and I was waiting, because it's nice to wake up drinking the sister's coffee. So then I went to the kitchen, and as I was going to the kitchen, I passed. She had moved to another room. The room that I was sleeping was the room that I saw her when I went there, but she had moved to another one, and the door was a little open, and I saw that she was laying there, and guess what? She was laying there with a bandage wrapped around her head, and I saw it, and then I asked her. She has suffered from migraine headache, bad one, since she was 9 years old, and there was a time in her life that it was very. I saw her. It was pain. I don't know how she would take it, but it was very severe sometimes. And she said there are times that my headache is so bad that if I wrap this bandage around very tight, and she had a nut that she tied a knot here, and there's this bump that she would press it against, like the like here, this part, that would alleviate the headache a little bit. And I asked her, "How often do you do this?" She said, "Well, it's been quite often because it's been bad lately." So that could have been one of those nights that she had it, and she put that in her head, and perispirit, they grab everything. It's all energy, so it is also transferred to the non-physical body. So, and that is from scientific standpoint, this fact of me seeing her without unexpectedly, not knowing at all that she would have it, and then I see her physically with that thing that I saw there. So that is it's a verifiable evidence that there was something there that was besides, dream or anything. So then we got to this part that we ended here. We ended at the graph, and then we were going to start here, the second part. And we have until 8:30, right? So we have 30 minutes to talk about the part of it, because we're going to have the third session on Wednesday. So the question is, if a terminal patient should know that he or she is terminal and that is dying. So one of the reasons that I decided, that was a few years ago, to come up with this death education talk, and that is not only one instance, because there are other instances. I had a relative in my family. I've been around for quite a while, so a lot of people in my family died already, and many of them had a serious disease like cancer, and it was terminal. And many of them, they're old timers, people who didn't have much regular education, especially in course, that education not. So there's this thing that the person who is dying, so the doctor, even if the doctor knows that the person has a disease that it's not going to be reversed, that's going to end the life of the physical body, should not tell them. They should not know that they're going to die eventually. We all are going to die. But in their particular case, that there's a situation that is very serious and not going to take long. And this being, should the patient know when, and this is a debate that is even part of the medical profession. Should we tell that person? We know because the doctor and oncologist, for instance, is going to have all the exams. He's going to know the situation, and from his experiences, from all the, he knows how long one person who has advanced pancreatic cancer is going to last. And today, even us, we don't understand it. We know that max 1 year, or maybe 5. Like some people can survive longer, others don't. So should they know? And then we have in scientifically, there are health professionals that they have their ideas about it. And we have this in the handbook of thanatology. This handbook of thanatology is it was written as part of the ADEC. It's Association of Death Education and Counseling. That is an organization here in the United States, and they have courses that train people who are interested in learning about death and dying. Many of them are health professionals. So in this handbook, it says that not providing complete information to terminally ill patients distorts their perceptions of time and opportunities. It reduces the time that people might find some meaning in living what little they have left. And then we have another, also in thanatology, same book, same page. Health professionals have the sacred trust to provide people with serious illness through information in balance with the realistic hopes. This trust probably is meant duty. So the health professionals have the sacred duty to provide people with serious illness through information in balance, obviously, with realistic hopes. There may be hope, there may not be hope. And then we have in the Lancet, 1998, Lancet is a journal that health professional doctors and researchers, they also, they publish their findings and so forth. And it reads that the practice of medicine is both an art and a science. It involves compassion and honesty. A good doctor always offers a ray of hope as well as discusses the implications of a serious illness. Back to the first one, that it reduces the time that people might find some meaning in living what little they have left. We're going to get to, I don't know if we're going to have time, maybe we'll be able to see it today. What they're saying here, and I have been, I'm not now because I don't have time, but there was one point in my life that I was a hospice volunteer with Vitas. So I worked several hours a week with people who were dying. So I would visit them in their homes, I would visit them in nursing homes, I would visit in the hospitals, because hospice is palliative care. It's not, it's like a philosophy. Vitas is one that is one of the major ones in the United States. So what they do is they provide palliative care is it's medication, not only medication to relieve pain, physical pain, but also emotional pain and things like that. It's opposite. They're not going to cure the patient. The patient, to be accepted into a hospice program, which Medicare, Medicaid, Medicare paid for, we have to have max 6 months to live. So a doctor is going to give the prognosis that they have at least at the max 6 months to live, that they might die before that. Some might live when after they go to hospice, then they might live well over 6 months because they're going to receive not only pain relief, but they're also going to receive um, psychological support, emotional support, spiritual support. In other words, love that hospice people would offer, like volunteers like me would go there, sit with them, talk, and let them know that we're there, let them know that they meant something, that we cared. And the nurses, obviously, they do that too. They're very compassionate, because hospital, you have to be compassionate with people. So they receive all that. They didn't have that either in their home, so they end up gaining a few extra time in their living physical life. But what I've seen is that this meaning, living a little, or some meaning in living what little they have left. There's one thing we're going to talk about that too, in probably today, the 5 tasks of dying. We are here in the spirit. Our doctrine, the Spiritist doctrine, teaches us some basic things for us to grow morally, spiritually, and caring. So the guide, or the guidance that we Spiritists follow, is the teachings, or are the teachings of Jesus. Giving love, being compassionate, being peacemakers, forgiving, loving, accepting people how they are, for what they are, without distinction. So this is the basic tenets of the teachings of Jesus, and what we in Spiritism, Spiritist doctrine teach. That we transform ourselves from what we were before. That we didn't care much for other people. That we didn't care much about helping. That we didn't care much about the suffering of others. So we are, in a way, thinking only of ourselves. And that's a human nature in the stage of development that we are now. So now we go fight, we hold grudge, resentment from other people. We hurt people, and we don't ask forgiveness. Or people hurt us, and they come and ask forgiveness, but we don't give forgiveness because we think it's not fair. And we have many of these resentments that we have are with people who are closer to us, mostly family members, friends. We don't care about that much. So we don't care about loving much or hurting until we are going to pay the bill of whatever debit that we incur in here. Just like when you go to a fancy restaurant, you ask for your best wine, you ask for all that food and that stuff, and then, but you're not worried about the price. You don't see in some menu they don't have a price, and you see that when I go to a restaurant that I don't see the price, I leave and go to McDonald's, because there I see the price, because that's so. But when you get the bill, you're going to cry. Or, excuse me, let me go to the bathroom. And you go through the back door. There are cases. So this other things, this other debit that we incur, like hurting people, not forgiving, the bill is going to come at that moment of transition. In the moment, especially the terminally ill, that person who is going to be there in the deathbed, the body dying, they have nowhere to go. They cannot do anything because they can't move. But the mind, the consciousness is full blast, a million miles an hour. And they start thinking about the life that they lived, how they lived, from the moment that they were born, everything that they remember, and the people that they hurt, and the people that they're holding grudge, and the people that they're holding resentment. People who ask them for forgiveness, they didn't give because they're, if nobody does that to me, who is she? Who is it to treat me like that? Right? Who do you think you are? Or, do you know what I am or who I am? At that moment, you're gonna be nothing. You're just gonna be there. And if you have hate or resentment, that's going to ask you to pay for that bill, and it's going to cause the suffering at the moment of death is mostly by the people who hold the resentments, people who hurt people and then ask for forgiveness. And at one point, they're going to ask. They're going to have in hospice, there are social workers and chaplains, the religious people there too, that are going to try and help them because they're going to say, and many of them is, I know, I haven't talked to my son for 20 years or 10 years. I don't know. I don't even know my grandchildren because me and my children, we had a fallout, and we haven't spoke for I don't know how long. They'll need it. And many of them, they'll hold to that. They're died. They should have died already, but they don't. They don't make that transition because that thing is bothering them so much that they can't let go. And then sometimes hospice, they have this, they go and try to find the person. If they can't bring the person in person, they try to organize like today it could be a video call, like a FaceTime or something that's better, so that the amendments are made. So they make amends, and they fix that at least partially, but it gives a little relief to that soul who that wants, needs to leave the physical body but cannot because there are things that they didn't give a thought, they didn't give importance, that's holding them back. So the importance of that education, the importance of being here in the Spirit Center is for us to do all this thinking and analysis of the way that we are living now, every moment of our lives. Every moment we're going to see how we're treating people, how we're treating ourselves, how much we're loving, how much love we're spreading, how much good we're giving, we're doing to other people and to us too. And if we have people that needs to we need to forgive, we must. It's not that we should, we must, because it's going to come back to you. And then even it's going to come back with people who are here or who you leave behind, if it's you who are departing. And you see, you hear, they say, if I had said that, I regret not having said that. And there is in psychology, there is a therapy, grief therapy, that is the empty chair therapy. So the empty chair therapy is you get that person, the grieving person. Grieving person is the person who lost someone and had this problem. So then the psychologist, the therapist, the person comes there and she sits in a chair. Then there is an empty chair in front of her. and she's going to pray, or he is going to picture the person who died sitting in that chair, and she's going to tell that person sitting in the chair, the hope, and if we, as spiritists that we are, most likely that person is sitting there in spirit, although the other person doesn't. Oh yeah, she's bringing someone there. Is that an empty chair for whom? Who's sitting there? Oh, I thought that we're going to talk to someone. Is that Chico Xavier? Oh, no. Is that Chico's chair? So the empty chair therapy, the person in grieving is going to tell everything that she wanted to tell that person, and that relieves a little bit. That helps a little bit, but nothing helps better more than doing it now. So the person who is dying should know. The person should know. Um, Many times she will know, or he will know, because the spirit has this thing. There are many instances that they know not only that they're dying, but they know even the day they're going to die, and many times the hour, because the spirit knows. But to tell them someone, or someone that they're terminal, you know that he's going to die, it's hard, but there's a ways of telling. So one of the reasons, like I said, that I was meant to say, it was that one in my family, she was terminal, and everyone knew except her, and they didn't want to tell her. The doctor said, her time is very limited, but they didn't want to tell her. So that prevents her from doing other things. So we should know. In my conception, it should. And there's a way that you can tell. Like when I was volunteering, that I was talking to people who were dying, and many I know that they didn't know. But we have ways, like you kind of talk to them and see, what's happening to you. Some people say, no, you're not going to say you're dying. You know what's happening? Yeah, I think I'm in the final stage of it. And how do you feel about that? So then you're going to hear, but they already know. How do you feel about that? So in many cases, we know how we could help or give some assistance. Well, it's only emotional because forget about it. The time is close. Then we give like some respite, some um, easiness for her to or she or he to continue the the little time that they have left. So there's a way that you can tell people were dying, and there's all this because this hospice thing is very big here. So there's a body of knowledge of ways of dealing with people who are dying. So you're gonna, if it's in our case, and they even have this protocol that's called spikes, in an acronym for setting, perception, invitation, knowledge, emotion, summarize, and strategize. Normally, it's someone like a nurse or a doctor who's going to tell that patient, but it could be one of us too if we have a family member. So in this situation, like this person in my family, I wasn't there. I heard from my relatives who knew her what's because when there are people in that situation back home, my family, they kind of contact me and tell me and see if I can help out somewhat somehow. So I just from what I know, I tell them what might happen, how they should deal with it, because there's several things that's going to happen. We're gonna see it that when we're participating, we have ways to not only understand and help, but we gain knowledge from what we're seeing and from what we're doing. So in this situation, you get the person who is who's dying, that person is in a nice place, comfortable place, that there's no noise and no distraction, and then you start talking to that person, and you start, see if the person understands what's going on, a perception. What have the doctors told you of your situation? And they might say, or they told me that's very bad, or they didn't say much. And then you say, how about you? What do you feel like from what you see, your knowledge that you have? And then you can see the emotion, this how you feel. And so, and sometimes it gets to a point that you're going to say, well, yeah, this is what's happening. Let's say that you're a family member. You say, I went to the doctor and they ran other exams, as you know, you took exams and stuff. And I have here what the examiner is telling me. And I wish I had better news to give you, but from the exam, it's your it's very serious. Your situation is very serious. So you're not telling that person directly what's going on, but if the person is not in denial and understand, and many do that, say, well, how long? Stop beating around the bush. How long do I have to live? So some ask, some want to know because they have things that they want. And those people who don't care much about how long, they have an idea, or most of them are people who have all those things that I told you already said. They have forgive people, they are good with everybody, they try to be a good person, they try to be good, so they have their clear consciousness that they did the best they could in this lifetime. So when they say, I'm ready to go, just waiting for my time. And this is, now we are here in this death education thing to educate ourselves, us. So the examples that I give are referred to other people. But we are here educating yourself, educating you, all of us. Because we have achieved the level of consciousness. First, as a spiritist, we know that we are immortal beings. So this is the first thing. We do not die. The body dies. And the death of the body is a reality that's going to happen to us. We know that. Now let's say that in our condition, in our situation, that if it is us diagnosed with a serious illness, like a disease or illness that will have no cure, we're going to die anyway, even if it's time, age, we're going to be very old. That's undeniable. But let's say that we have one of these serious illness. Would we want to know? We can't run. We cannot run. And we won't know. If someone tells you you have pancreatic cancer, what else do you need to know? What is the question that you die? The thing is, how long? Not you, the body. The thing is, how long? It depends on the seriousness. Like a do get this that we're saying in Brazil. You know that, right? How long? He's gonna be lucky if he physically he goes, he ends 2025 in physical life. But he's doing something. Well, that guy, what's his name? The Dirty Dancing guy, Patrick Swayze. He fought his pancreatic cancer for 5 years. So I don't know how far advanced it was, but it was 5 years. Cruel 5 years, because cancer treatment, depending on the treatment, it's terrible. So he was lucky, but mostly it's a year, 2 years. So would you want to know? You will know for sure. Because we are smart enough now Like my mother, she didn't want to believe she had cancer and that she was going to die. She didn't want to believe. And we're going to talk about later why we fear death. But we are in the point that we know. We will know. So, and then with the time that I have left, what else can I do to expedite my growth or my evolution with this time frame? We are here to learn, to love, to forgive. And at least in those things, we should focus that. So the weakness that we have. So how can I use this time to better myself? Because we, in our death education thing, we have one goal in mind. Learn as much as we can so that the moment of transition from this physical life back to the spiritual life, we are going to go as peacefully as possible. my 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 wife, she um, like Facebook and things like that, she listens to comments or uh, posts, and also like reading like messages that spirits give to through mediums. And I was reading, she was listening to one of them, and we're there, so I listening to this person saying that she was in the hospital in the spirit, right? She was sick, she was in the hospital, and then um, she didn't know what happened, but she remembers that she went to the hospital, physical hospital, for to treat some disease. And then there are nurses. There's a present of nurses, and then a nurse comes up to her and tell her, "Let's take a walk." And then and she follows the nurse, and they walk. And then she goes off. She doesn't know where. And then she wakes up in a hospital. And then that nurse who invited her to take a walk is going to explain to her that she's not in Kansas anymore. That she's not in Kansas anymore. She is in Oz now. She moved. See, she went to the other. We don't want to do that. We want to be fully conscious. That's what Buddhist monks do. They try to the best of their ability, because they have ways that they use mentally to facilitate the disconnection of the spirit body from the physical body. And they try to be in full consciousness of the process. And in my experience that I with my sister, I went through the full process of laying in my bed in my physical body, thinking with my physical brain and with my body warm, and then the process of leaving it. The way it worked internally, I describe it in the little yellow book that's out there. So, and I saw it, I felt it, I felt there's noise, there's sounds, there's something that goes inside until the disconnection. Once it disconnects, you are not the physical body anymore. You are out, but fully intact. I had a body. I had the same my thinking abilities. I could see, I could hear, I could touch, but non-physical things, because physical things had no property or no solidity to that physical body. So I know the full process. So when and then we're gonna also talk about the ways that we die. Some in slow death we could do that, but there are death that are instantaneous. We're gonna talk about it in the next lecture. Instantaneous, but in that case we'll know, and we don't want to wake up in the hospital or in rest area. We want to be fully intact. This is the project. This is the why we're here, why we're educating ourselves to dying, to the process, the entire process. we're going to be there, and we're going to have people waiting for us, our mentors, our relatives, and then we're not going to go anywhere. It'll be rest or anything. We're saying, what's the party? Where is the party now? Where do we go from here that we don't have to worry about anything? No rent, no credit card, no payment, nothing. You're free. Now imagine you're not only free of all these things that we have to bother every day from the moment that we wake up in the morning till then. So we want to be not only totally free of these encumbrances of physical life, but we want also to be free of everything that is damaging to a spirit. We want to be free of hate. We want to be free of resentment. We want to be free of guilty. We want to be free of all of that. And we do this freedom we conquer by living a life in a way that we don't harbor, that we don't nurture these things. We try to imagine, we try to avoid all this to the best of our ability, because we are here. We came here as regular humans, and we, at this moment, we found the Spirit Center because we were looking for some reason. It's the soul, the Spirit calling us to go and search knowledge, find something better, greater than we are. And at one point, that happened to me, and that happens to everybody who is here in the Spirit. We found this doctrine, which is it's enriching. It gives you knowledge of who you are, and all the great, not only that, but the greatness that we are, and also of our immortality. So we have all the tools here to become better. So we came here in a way that we've in this growth process, and I could tell you that we have in this doctrine the teaching that's going to culminate, that if we take that seriously, if we walk our talk, if we act what we're learning, we will become not only better humans, but we will help make a better humanity and a more enlightened spirit. So when our time comes, we're not going to have any regrets or anything. We're going to welcome that new life, that new transition, because we are going to continue our growth, our evolution in a higher sphere, and we're going to have much greater possibilities to grow faster until the time comes that we decide to come back to life again, to continue our education and our betterment as a human. And if possible, we can reincarnate or ask to reincarnate in Salvador, Bahia. So we'll continue on Wednesday then. I think it's 8:30 already. Is it? Yeah.